Hey guys, how's it going? Well, first of all, I wanted to say that I've kind of been trying to experiment with different formats for my videos and different ways of pulling together the info. Like, in some cases, I really think it through and make notes and kind of plan it out, and then in other cases, I just kind of talk and end up re-recording it like 10 times, and then other cases I just kind of talk off the cuff, and I've decided that's usually in my kitchen, hunched over the kitchen island. So I feel like you can definitely see my brain working in different ways in these different videos. So I notice when I do this kind of thing, I tend to ramble a lot. So if I don't think it through, I can ramble a lot and I end up cutting out so much. So I don't know. So I just thought I would try and address a certain topic off the cuff. We'll see how this goes. So I have gotten some questions from women who believe that they're on the autism spectrum about diagnosis, and should they get diagnosed, and they have concerns about it, and to kind of, I guess they just wanted to know what I thought and what my experience was and that kind of thing, and sort of like what the pluses and minuses are. And it got me really thinking a lot because, for me, I just didn't have any reservation about pursuing diagnosis at all. I guess, I don't know. Here's my thoughts. Like, I was at a place in my life where it was like, I felt like everything came together to finally give me this answer for what I'd been seeking for like over 20 years. Well, actually over 30 years. And if you watch my other videos, you kind of know that this process just kind of unfolded for me, and it was kind of miraculous. And when I found out that I had this, or potentially had this, I was like, I just was like, I need to know. I want to know. And so I didn't feel like, I don't know, there wasn't any question about it for me. So I guess my experience is a little different. The thing that I did have was, and other people have mentioned this, I had a lot of fear about, once again, putting myself out there and into the hands of a professional just to be minimized once again. I was really scared, and I think what really worked out well in retrospect was that by the time I got my awareness of having Asperger's until I got tested was like 4 or 5 months. So at the time it seemed like torture to have to wait all those months, but in retrospect I'm really glad because it gave me that time to really process some of the feelings about it and also connect with other people in this community, so that I actually just got more and more confident that I had it, and also I had more information. Like, there were things I didn't even know were part of the Asperger's profile, and that way by the time I had the testing I was able to say all these different things that I'd heard about. So yeah, I guess it really worked out well to do that, and I had to really kind of go through this emotional process of preparing myself that I would not get diagnosed with Asperger's, that I was really consciously, mentally, and emotionally preparing myself for the worst, which would be not only did I not get a diagnosis, but that this person would completely minimize me and invalidate me and try and give some other diagnosis, or even be kind of outright abusive, which I've had. So I just had to really shore up my strength, and I know some of that came from the community of women that I've met online. I just felt like the support was amazing. I don't think I could have done it without them. So, and the other thing that I did was I wanted to be 100% sure that I was being tested by a place that worked with adult females and was reputable for that. And I had gotten the name of the place I went to on Rudy Simone's site. Now, I feel really, really lucky because she's since changed her site and has removed her resources, and she's only showing resources now for those people that will pay for the advertising space. So the last I checked, there were only like a couple, maybe 3 or 4 resources, and I'm thinking, what would I have done? I had no idea. I don't know anyone in my area online, I don't know what I would have done. I tried calling places around here, and every single place, it was clear that they were not going to be able to help me and diagnose me. And so anyway, so the place I found, it was actually like a few hours away in another state. So I ended up like going there for 2 days and staying overnight 2 nights, and it was a whole process. But I am so glad, because as it turns out, Leanne Halliday Willie, who is an author of several books, including Pretending to be Normal, she lives around there and is a consultant there. And she has Asperger's and knows about it. And I had no idea. I was so grateful. I had such a positive experience. It was just, I don't know, I'm so grateful. Like, if you watch my diagnosis videos, you'll see, like, I just was so grateful. Oh my God, the doctor was really wonderful, and I got so much great information. So anyway, on the topic of, like, to get diagnosed or not, now, I think there's a difference between just getting a diagnosis and someone saying, yeah, you have this, versus getting like a thorough neuropsych evaluation, which is what I got. And I don't even know if it included everything, but it was thorough. I mean, it was like 6 hours worth of stuff. So I thought that was really, really useful, because it showed quantitatively, and I'm a quantitative analyst, so I like this stuff, what was going on with me, like my strengths and my weaknesses. So most of it was stuff I kind of knew, but yet not, I guess I really needed that validation. So like on the normal curve, I was at the extreme high end for IQ, like top 2% of the population, and top 1% for nonverbal reasoning, which is like patterns and stuff, which makes complete sense for me. But then on the other hand, I was on the low end of the normal curve, not that extreme, but low end for auditory processing. And I really realized that. And then also was on the low end for, I guess it's like, I don't know what they call it offhand, but like, it was like being able to read eyes, eye expressions. So, and they also was on the high end for like processing new information. And then I think there was something else that was on the low end. I'm clearly not prepared for this video. But the point was, like, my profile is like so imbalanced. I've got this extreme strength in one area and then this weakness in the other. But the reason I'm telling you this is that and also, I mean, they also tested, like they didn't test, but they did different types of evaluations for like sensory processing and social understanding and stuff like that. So I feel like this has been very empowering for me, because it's like I needed to see that about myself. And now I used to try and like force myself to be in situations that were difficult for me. I'd started to realize over the last couple of years, like how kind of like flustered and disoriented I can get, like in groups and stuff. And also, like if I'm with somebody who has very kind of intense, stressful energy, I cannot process what they're saying, and I just like miss things. And now I understand that. And this gives me power and knowledge so I can make choices. I no longer put myself in these situations. It's like I'm an advocate for myself, and I'm like, no, I am not going in that situation, because I know that it's going to be too stressful for me. And I don't know how else to explain it. Like, yeah, I guess I'll have to leave it at that. What else? I think I guess, I think too, like I've noticed since I got that information that I'm also better at like telling the people in my life who know, like, as opposed to saying, like, in the past I would have just said something like, either I would have sucked it up or said something like if there was like noise, I would just get like irritated, like, oh, so noisy in here, or could we sit somewhere else? And now it's like I can explain it, like I feel like I'm, again, more able to advocate for myself because I'm able to say, it's like so hard for me with the Asperger's and sensory processing to filter out. And like I went out to dinner with someone recently. I said, I was like, yeah, this noise, the music's going to be too loud for me to be able to process what you're saying. So I think it helps other people understand as well. I feel like it takes the emotional charge out of it for me because I used to think like I'm just difficult and I didn't feel as comfortable standing up for myself. And now it's more like if someone's in a wheelchair and there's stairs, like they can just say, no, I can't go up those. Like I'm going to need help. Like now I can say, oh, well, there's music, so I'm going to need to do this. I just can be more matter of fact about it. And what else? Now, let's see. I think for myself, and I've heard other women talk about this, there is an emotional process that comes with getting a diagnosis. And for me, it started out immediately with intense relief. Like, I felt all this shame lift. I didn't even know, like, this years and years and years of carrying this blackness of, like, there's something wrong with me. It literally lifted, and you can see it in one of my videos. It was like, it was just amazing. It did open up a lot of stuff, and I can't even fully understand how this works, but somehow getting this diagnosis allowed me to actually start feeling the anger about things that had happened to me, and which I never really could. And I think maybe it was like before I kind of would take it out on myself, of like being in a state of shame maybe, or actually just kind of a state of confusion. I don't know, it's just really weird. Again, it's like something bigger than me and bigger than anything cognitive. So it was like I was starting to process over nearly 5 decades of things that had happened, and feeling rightly anger about it, and a healthy anger, not like, I think I was kind of holding on to resentment about certain things, but it was like the energy of the anger started coming through, and I feel like there's hope now that I can release this. Like I didn't even know it was in there. And then there's also a process of grief. I think before, when I didn't know my condition, I just spent years and years and years trying to understand and fix myself. And when you're in that frame of mind, it's like a false sense of control, because if I believe that I can somehow fix myself, I just have to figure this out or get the right person to help me, the right doctor or the right therapist or whatever, then I'm living in that fantasy. And in some ways that's comforting, even though you're making yourself crazy and spending all your time and money, So when you kind of realize like, oh, I can't quote unquote fix myself, there is a lot of grief that comes up and fear. I mean, I think there's grief about things that I lost, things that I missed, and almost like a preemptive grief for this like fantasy. Or I mean, I can't say that I've had a fantasy life. I mean, that was positive. I don't know, what am I saying? I want to say, like, I guess when I was younger, I suppose, like, you hope your life's going to be a certain way, and I've long since let go of that. But when you realize this about yourself, like, I guess it just made me say, wow, like, it was kind of tied in with the fear of, like, wow, maybe I don't know what my life's going to look like, and I might not be able to do the things that I want and have the life that I want. And yeah, I just had to really go through that. And I'm not done with any of this at all, but I'm just sharing with you to let you know, like, this is what you might expect. So yeah, the anger, the grief, the fear, the other challenging thing is facing the prejudice of other people, and I've done videos about that. The ignorance of people in the so-called helping professions who minimize you and can outright abuse you. I haven't told that many people yet, so far it's been a positive experience, and because I've slowly just told those people that I felt kind of ready to tell and that I could trust, so I haven't yet felt like I've had any negative repercussions. But that's always a possibility, as I tell more and more people, and if I eventually decide to go public, like, might there be consequences with work or other things? But then again, it's like we don't necessarily have to tell everybody, we have to do what's right for us. So that, I guess, is something to weigh. I haven't told people in my life that would definitely minimize me. So yeah. But really, I mean, my getting a diagnosis wasn't for them, it's for me. And yeah, I don't know, we'll see what happens with that. So let's see, what else to consider. Yeah, I don't know. I know for myself that I was at a point in my life where I was so ready. I was like, I cannot keep going the way I am, and I was willing to face any problem or difficulty or consequence that would come from knowing I had Asperger's, because how I was living, I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't cope, I couldn't survive, and I couldn't keep living a life that wasn't true to me. Now, maybe not everybody's in that place, I was thinking about it, like, if this had happened when I was younger, in my 20s, I don't know if I would be as, like, motivated and ready. And I might have also had more denial, because I think that's also part of the process. The denial can come up. I haven't had that much, but I have had it. I think I would have had more of it when I was younger, and it's not as much now, because with my health deteriorating, that was something that even made this more clear. I think in the past I might have held on to the fantasy. I would have been like, well, look, I can do this and I can do that, and I'm normal, and please, you guys, when I use those words, don't take it offensively. It's just, I'm just sharing my thoughts, like the way I would think about it. I don't really think like they're normal and we're not. It's just, that's where my headspace was. So, yeah, I think that the bottom line is, I think it's everybody's choice of if they want to seek a diagnosis out and when. I would say that the most important thing is from my experience, would be to make sure that you trust that practitioner as much as possible. Maybe ask around in different Facebook groups who people have gone to, if you can't find something online where they specifically say that they work with adults and people on the spectrum. I think that's critical. And the second thing is, I really think it's important to get that community support. And for me, I found that online. I just don't really know people here that are in my community. So, and, I guess just seek your heart. Like I said, I don't know, I was just in a different space. So I don't feel like you have to do anything, but I guess I just wanted to share my experience. I mean, I feel like, oh God, it's been very empowering and freeing, but not easy. You know, it's a different kind of hard than what I had before. And there are days where I feel really, I guess, I don't know, it's just a lot of pain, a lot of fear, a lot of grief or anger, you know, like, but all that was always in there. It's just now that I'm walking through it and I feel like I have a chance to get to the other side versus everything that was keeping it stuck inside of me. You know, I think it takes a lot of courage to do this. Courage and or just desperation, willingness, you know. And if you're not ready, you're not ready. You don't have to do it. That's what I think. Like, just listen to yourself, you know. You don't have to put yourself in that situation. But I do think that it is ultimately a good thing, as, you know, my experience has shown. And yeah, so if you guys have more thoughts or questions, definitely comment. I'm trying to think if there's anything I've left out about the positives and negatives. I don't think so. It feels kind of thorough. It's a long video. See, I babble when I do this. I don't know. I don't know if you guys watch the whole thing. Usually I look at the stats and it's like, oh, they get through about 3 or 4 minutes of it. So if anyone's made it this long, God bless you. Yeah, you must really, really want to hear this. And I appreciate you listening, and I hope it helps. I really do, because yeah, everyone out there online has helped me so much. So I guess that's it.